Jiang Yin Tai and his wife, Jiang Yin Shi and Ding Jie, and Jiang Xine all went to the hospital, leaving the agitated people in the old house for Jiang Yin to soothe. Although Jiang Yin stayed at the old house, he sent old Lu to the hospital to help out. After dawn, Jiang Yin bid farewell to the relatives. It was the first time relatives were dispersed on the first day of the new year. Usually, they would be lively in the old house for 3 days. Yin accompanied old lady Jiang in the Buddha hall for a while, until she heard news from the hospital that the child was fine, and then she left the old house. To be honest, Yin really disliked GZ, but the child was innocent. She didn't let Jiang Yin send her off, but just assigned a Jiang family driver to take her all the way home. As soon as she entered the house, she received a call from Jiang Yin. He asked her, "Why did you leave? Why did you leave?" Yin heard the weariness in his voice. Indeed, dealing with those relatives was quite a taxing task. She said, "After all, it's a Jiang family matter. It's not good for me to get involved. After all, it's a Jiang family matter. It's not good for me to get involved. The old lady doesn't treat you as an outsider, but it's good that you left at this time. The house is a mess," Jiang Yin said. "The old lady doesn't treat you as an outsider, but it's good that you left at this time. The house is a mess." He then instructed her to eat well at home by herself. After hanging up the phone, Yin gave a wry smile. Did he still think she hadn't grown up yet? She had just caught up on sleep for about an hour when Xiaomin called. She truly lived up to her reputation for being well-informed. The first thing she asked after connecting was, "I heard GZ was hospitalized, and it caused quite a stir." I heard GZ was hospitalized, and it caused quite a stir. Yin was neither fully asleep nor fully awake, her body sore and aching. She lazily hummed in response. "I heard she had a major hemorrhage and almost lost the baby. It spent quite a while trying to save it. I heard she had a major hemorrhage and almost lost the baby. They spent quite a while trying to save it. It had reached the point of resuscitation." Yin jolted. "That's serious? That's serious? You didn't know? Weren't you at the Yu families?" Xiaomin found it strange. "You didn't know? Weren't you at the Yu families?" "I didn't pay attention to her affairs. I just knew the ambulance came. I didn't pay attention to her affairs. I just knew the ambulance came." Xiaomin tooted twice. The child really suffered, and that GZ is quite cunning. For the sake of a title, she's still trying to win Jiang Zhe's favor with a big belly. And at this time, she's still playing so openly. Jiang Zhe is also really, he has no sense of propriety. He should at least consider the child, if not the adult. The child really suffered, and that GZ is quite cunning. For the sake of a title, she's still trying to win Jiang Zhe's favor with a big belly. And at this time, she's still playing so openly. Jiang Zhe is also really, he has no sense of propriety. He should at least consider the child, if not the adult. Yin listened, completely bewildered, and let out an ah. Xiaomin, however, didn't understand the meaning of her ah, and lowered her voice. "The Jiang family's hospital. I know people in there." Even if the chief doctor is tight-lipped, some little nurses can't help but whisper. When a doctor sees a situation like GZ's, they immediately know what's going on. Reportedly, they lectured Jiang Zhe on the spot, saying that as a husband, he didn't know how to be considerate to his wife and couldn't control his desires at such a time, and so on and so forth. "The Jiang family's hospital, I know people in there." Even if the chief doctor is tight-lipped, some little nurses can't help but whisper. When a doctor sees a situation like GZ's, they immediately know what's going on. Reportedly, they lectured Jiang Zhe on the spot, saying that as a husband, he didn't know how to be considerate to his wife and couldn't control his desires at such a time, and so on and so forth. Those little nurses are all spreading the word that this young master of the Jiang family is simply mesmerized by the movie star. Those little nurses are all spreading the word that this young master of the Jiang family is simply mesmerized by the movie star. Yin was utterly speechless. This Jiang Zhe was not only cuckolded, but also unable to defend himself. I heard Jiang Zhe was also scolded by his parents. Tang Hui's words were quite harsh, rebuking Jiang Zhe. "Did that vixen drug you?" Xiaomin tooted twice. "Do you think GZ drugged Jiang Zhe? Is it really that serious?" I heard Jiang Zhe was also scolded by his parents. Tang Hui's words were quite harsh, rebuking Jiang Zhe. "Did that vixen drug you?" Xiaomin tooted twice. "Do you think GZ drugged Jiang Zhe? Is it really that serious?" No drugs. It had nothing to do with Jiang Zhe at all. But Yin couldn't say these words. Once spoken, it would cause a huge uproar. However, by evening, things took another turn. This time, there was no need to hear from Xiaomin. It had exploded online. Yin didn't want to pay attention to how boisterous public opinion was, because compared to those who only speculated, she was probably the closest to the truth. This was the first time Yin felt restless at home. She didn't know why, but she always felt a sense of trepidation in her heart. But what was happening in the Jiang family now had nothing to do with her, and hadn't Jiang Yinyan said so himself. A little later, Jiang Yinyan came to her place. After entering, he looked a bit weary, leaning against the sofa with his head resting on the backrest for a long time. He was still in the clothes from the morning, his long legs, clad in suit trousers, casually splayed apart. He raised a hand to unbutton his shirt, and the red mark on his neck had faded slightly. In the past, she would get nervous whenever he came to her home. But today, she actually longed to see him. Seeing him look so tired, she placed a glass of lemonade on the coffee table and softly asked him, "Where did you come from?" She also wondered if he had gone to the hospital to check on the situation. Jiang Yinyan remained leaning back, not sitting up, but he answered her question, his voice low and lazy, from the old residence. "Have all those relatives just settled down?" Jiang Yinyan hummed in affirmation. Yinyan felt a headache just thinking about such a large group of people. The unexpected change in New Year plans was indeed troublesome. It was easier to arrange for a few people, but with a crowd, there were countless miscellaneous tasks. Silence fell between the two of them. A quiet current flowed freely between them. After a long while, Jiang Yinyan asked, "Do you want to know about GZ?" Yinyan hummed, quite direct. How to put it? She wasn't particularly concerned about GZ, but she was very interested in the matter itself. And how to explain it? It wasn't realistic to say GZ had no connection to her at all, as it was Jiang Zhe's cheating, which she had supposedly enticed. Regardless of whether she would eventually marry into the Jiang family, GZ was at least the most direct fuse. Jiang Yinyan sat up. Seeing that she had already poured him lemonade, he smiled and said, "Why didn't you just ask? You're quite patient." Yinyan, seeing him bring it up himself, no longer held back and said, "I really wanted to ask. The trending searches all say Jiang Zhe attacked GZ violently. But you look very tired, so I wanted to wait a bit." She handed him the lemonade. "How about you take a moment to rest first?" That one sentence made Jiang Yinyan laugh in exasperation. Rest a bit? What was she thinking? He took the cup and drank a couple of sips, which did relieve his fatigue. Putting down the cup, he said, although Jiang Zhe has shortcomings in his conduct, he wouldn't go as far as to hit a woman. Yunyan was astonished. Even after being cuckolded, Jiang Yinyan looked at her, his gaze thoughtful. Although they were in her own home, Yunyan's next words were very quiet. GZ told Jiang Yinshi that Jiang Zhe hadn't touched her since she entered the Jiang family. Unless GZ was lying, Jiang Zhe must have known he was being cuckolded. Jiang Yinyan was pensive. Regardless of Jiang Zhe's previous state, if he hadn't touched GZ last night, yet GZ had a severe hemorrhage due to strenuous activity, then Jiang Zhe would understand everything instantly. Jiang Zhe did indeed throw quite a tantrum in a hospital room. This matter probably can't be covered up. At the very least, Jiang Yantai will thoroughly investigate it. Jiang Yinyan also generally knew the situation at the hospital through old Lu. Yinyan asked, "Does Grandma know yet?" Jiang Yinyan nodded slightly, his expression placid. "Grandma definitely doesn't want things to escalate," Yunyan said softly. In Grandma's eyes, everyone who stayed in the Jiang family last night was a relative. So anyone having an affair with GZ must also be a relative. Someone as proud as GZ wouldn't possibly take an interest in a driver or a servant. Even if it were a driver or a servant, they would still be part of the Jiang family. To put it plainly, family scandals should not be aired publicly. Jiang Yinyan said, "Public handling is impossible, but an internal investigation is unavoidable." Both Jiang Yantai and Tang, we already held reservations about GZ marrying in. How could they let such a huge loss go unresolved this time? Moreover, even if the elders want to smooth things over, Jiang Zhe won't tolerate being cuckolded. But the other party is Jiang Yinshi. What can be done? Yunyan said. Jiang Yinyan looked up at her. Yunyan felt a shiver. What's wrong? At least they don't know it's Jiang Yinshi yet. What about Jiang Yinshi then? He even went to the hospital when it happened. Jiang Yinyan chuckled. Everyone says that among the 3 sons of the Jiang family, the second son is the most unassuming and refined. But in my opinion, the second son is the one with the most hidden thoughts. He's the treacherous, virtuous prince with a benevolent facade. He gently twirled the cup. A person like that would certainly not want events to unfold beyond his control, so his accompanying them last night makes perfect sense. Yunyan suddenly understood, right? Otherwise, how could he go to the hospital with 2 people who seem to have no connection to him on the surface? Besides, his relationship with Jiang Yantai was also quite ordinary. This matter has nothing to do with you, Jiang Yinyan emphasized lightly. So, no matter who asks you what. I don't know anything, Yunyan immediately said. Jiang Yinyan looked at her and smiled. Yunyan sighed deeply. This matter, no matter how much it was investigated, would only end up hurting old Madame Zhang's heart. What happens next? Jiang Yinyan said, GZ will be discharged tomorrow. Perhaps this matter should come to an end then. Yun Yin fell silent at his words, then sighed heavily. Jiang Yinyin was amused by her reaction. You seem quite prone to melancholia. I was just wondering, what exactly is GZ after? Yun Yin frowned slightly. Even though the Jiang family hasn't given her an official title yet, she's practically living in the Jiang household. Who in the Jiang family doesn't know about this? Since she used the child as a bargaining chip to try and leap over the dragon's gate. And she's almost there. How could she make such a stupid mistake? Jiang Yinyin slowly drank his lemonade, saying nothing. Could it be? Yun Yin suddenly thought of a possibility and looked up at Jiang Yinyin. Jiang Yinyin raised an eyelid. You're suggesting it was Jiang Yinxi's deliberate intention? That possibility can't be ruled out, Yun Yin said. GZ is beautiful, yes, but she's already taken. Jiang Yinxi wouldn't be so infatuated as to poach his own nephew's woman. Maybe I'm just thinking too darkly, but I'm inclined toward a conspiracy theory. Jiang Yinyin put down his cup. Come here. Yun Yin hesitated for a moment, but still got up and stepped forward. Jiang Yinyin pulled her to sit on his lap, naturally wrapping his arms around her and lacing his fingers behind her waist. He looked at her and smiled. So, not all women are as smart as you. If GZ had even half your intelligence, she wouldn't have fallen for Jiang Yinxi's trap. The former is skilled in manipulation, and the latter can't endure loneliness, so they naturally hit it off immediately. But what's Jiang Yinxi's goal in doing this? To strike at Jiang Yintai? If the truth comes out, won't he implicate himself? Yun Yin couldn't figure this out. Jiang Yinyin chuckled. He probably has a backup plan. He doesn't need much. One scandal could cause Jiang Yintai to stumble badly. After all, there have already been quite a few rumors. It just depends on whether this is the straw that breaks the camel's back. If Jiang Yinxi can emerge unscathed from the scandal, then he'll have achieved his goal. Yun Yin fell silent, pondering. Jiang Yinyin tilted his head to look at her, genuinely wanting to laugh at her focused expression. My lady hero, what are you pondering now? Yun Yin's brow was still slightly furrowed as she looked at Jiang Yinyin. GZ has been in the entertainment industry for how many years? What kind of place is that? A big dying vat, where you see all sorts of people and encounter all sorts of things. To be able to step-by-step maneuver her way into the Jiang family shows extraordinary cunning. How could she capsize with Jiang Yinxi? I don't think she just couldn't bear the loneliness. She must have had an ulterior motive with Jiang Yinxi. So, therefore, I think GZ must also have a backup plan, Yun Yin concluded. Jiang Yinyin leaned back against the sofa, pulling her forward, and she naturally fell into his embrace. The posture was undeniably intimate. Jiang Yinyin, I'm talking about serious matters with you. Don't get carried away, she quickly reminded him. At the same time, she froze in his arms, not daring to move. Why so nervous? Jiang Yinyin chuckled instead of getting angry, his fingers lifting her clothing hem and slipping inside, deliberately and casually caressing her waist. Her skin was delicate and smooth, making him reluctant to let go. Yun Yin felt her waist go soft and ticklish, and instinctively twisted her body. The man let out a muffled groan and suddenly gripped her waist. Yun Yin suddenly dared not move. Yun Yin, you did that on purpose, didn't you? Jiang Yinyin stared at her, gritting his teeth. No, please put me down. She tried to pull away. Jiang Yinyin, with a firm grip, pulled her back into his embrace. Don't move around, just hold me for a while. All right, Yun Yin stopped moving. After a long while, Jiang Yinyin spoke, his voice low, as if tinged with a subtly awakened desire. Yun Yin thought her name sounded quite nice when he pronounced it. You said you have a conspiracy theory, believing men approach women with an agenda. Perhaps women like GZ indeed become pawns in others' hands, but you are different. Men only have one purpose when they get close to you. They want to have you. You possess the capital to drive men wild. Including you? Yun Yin's breathing quickened. Jiang Yinyin's gaze met hers. Including me. Yun Yin secretly clenched her hands. Including the past you? Jiang Yinyin stared at her, dark currents subtly churning in his eyes, profound and mysterious, as if carrying the dark power from the deepest parts of the universe. His gaze made Yun Yin feel an inexplicable fear, something she couldn't quite put into words. After a long silence, he didn't answer, but instead asked, was the past me not good to you? Good. Very good. Now that they had reached this point, Yun Yin unusually yearned for an answer. Of all the kindness you showed me in the past, how much was genuine? She had recently been thinking, why was a Yin brought to the Yu family in the past? Was it her father's unintentional act, or his deliberate intention? He had his goals, but truly unearthing the truth he sought would probably take time. Jiang Yinyin stared at her for a long time, then raised a hand to gently cup her chin. The man's fingers were warm, still carrying the faint scent of her skin. She had a premonition that she wouldn't easily get this answer. Yun Yin couldn't answer that question. If she were to speak of true feelings, then all her true feelings had been given to the Yin of the past, the silent man who always stayed behind her, keeping her safe. Perhaps because he didn't hear the answer he wanted, Jiang Yinyin stayed the night, tormenting her for most of it. The man in bed would shed all his noble restraint and elegance, fiercely devouring his prey like a wild beast. When he tossed her high into the clouds, Yunyan lay sprawled in his embrace, some thoughts emerging from her ethereal consciousness. Everyone said the capital's crown prince was ascetic and noble, a Buddha-like figure with a cold, handsome face. This description was more fitting for the A Yin of the past. Troubled dreams, but they were all of a Yin. It felt like returning to the past, yet not quite. In her dream, she wasn't at the Yu family home, and Yan's appearance was more like his current self, with stern brows and eyes, and sharply defined facial features. It was like walking a forest, hazy all around, and she was in it, with a Yin still following behind her. She was scared and dare not go forward, softly calling out, "A Yin." From behind her came the man's low voice. "I'm here, don't be afraid." "Do I still have to go forward?" "Go on, I'll be with you." She stopped. "A Yin, I'm so tired, can you carry me on your back?" "Miss," A Yin sighed, his tone sounding a little helpless. "I don't care, I'm tired, I don't want to walk anymore." She threw a tantrum, stamping her feet twice. "A branch just scratched my foot. Let me see." A Yin chose a clean spot for her to sit, knelt on one knee, and brought her injured foot onto his sturdy thigh. Her gaze slowly moved up from the man's solid leg. A Yin was dressed simply in dark suit trousers and a white shirt. Since they were walking in the woods, he had unbuttoned his cuffs and rolled up his sleeves to his forearms, revealing the smooth lines of his muscles. He was stern and unsmiling, his eyes deep. She couldn't help but ask, "A Yin, do you ever get nervous?" "Yes." A Yin didn't look up. His attention seemed entirely on her ankle, which was a little scraped, but not serious. She was curious. "In what situations do you get nervous?" "When Miss is in danger," A Yin replied. Her ankle bone felt a chill as A Yin pulled out a wet wipe to clean her wound. She shivered, unable to help but exclaim, "A Yin, it's so cold." She admitted that sometimes she was quite delicate, but it was precisely because it was A Yin that she would act so unreservedly spoiled, as if she felt that no matter how much she acted up or whined, A Yin would tolerate her unconditionally. Then she heard A Yin say, "Miss, bear with it a little longer, it'll be fine soon." Although he said that, he still warmed the wet wipe with his hand, so when he wiped her ankle bone again, it wasn't as cold. After treating the wound, A Yin still carried her on his back, her arms wrapped around him, and at that moment, it felt like she was embracing the whole world. She liked A Yin carrying her like this. His back was broad and safe, and every time he carried her, she would feel drowsy. She asked A Yin, "Have you ever carried other girls on your back?" A Yin said no. "Then in the future, you're not allowed to carry other girls either." Her face was buried in the hollow of his neck, and she loved the scent of him, a faint woody smell mixed with the vibrant energy of a young man. A Yin said, "Okay, but what if you do carry other girls in the future?" She was still a little uneasy, tilting her head slightly to peek at him. She thought A Yin grew handsomer with age. How could his face be so beautiful? "I won't," A Yin said softly. Hearing his assurance, her heart felt sweet, but she still couldn't resist asking, "You promise?" "I promise." She felt reassured and hugged him even tighter with her arms. A Yin misunderstood, saying softly, "Miss, relax a little. I can carry you. I won't let you fall." She knew that, of course, but she just wanted to hold him tight. She said, "I'm afraid you'll abandon me." "I won't." She leaned against him, feeling drowsy again. She softly called out, "A Yin, I'm here. Will you stay with me forever?" "Does Miss need me to stay with you forever?" She said softly. "This life, I only want A Yin." "Okay. You promise?" "Yes, I promised." "Then you can't leave, okay?" "Okay." She tilted her head slightly. "But what if you do leave? Whatever Miss wishes." She pressed closer to him, thinking for a long time. "If you leave me, then A Yin, I'll never like you again." Yun Yin suddenly awoke from her dream, the words from it still echoing in her ears. "Then A Yin, I'll never like you again." Her breathing was ragged. This wasn't just a dream. She had indeed said that to A Yin once. It was the time she was trapped in a cave by a senior, and A Yin carried her all the way out of the mountains. At that time, she was terrified, hugging A Yin and crying for a long time. A Yin let her cling to him like a vine, gently stroking her back, giving her enough sense of security. Yun Yin would never forget that day. She was unusually dependent on A Yin, and unusually afraid that A Yin would no longer care for her. When that senior changed from his usual gentle demeanor and tore at her clothes like a wild beast, all she could think of was A Yin, only A Yin. So that day she told A Yin, "Don't ever leave me in this life. If you do, I'll never like you again." A faint light appeared outside the window. Dawn was approaching. Jiang Yinyin was sleeping beside her, his arms still wrapped around her. Her back was pressed against his front, almost nestled in his embrace, with one arm around her waist. This was always their sleeping position. Yunyan woke from her dream and looked back at the man behind her. The face of a yin in her dream was exactly his current appearance. How could that be? Although the man wasn't awake, he seemed to sense the unusual stillness of the woman in his arms. He tightened his arm, and his cheek instinctively pressed against hers, mumbling, "Had a dream? Don't be afraid. I'm here." Yunyan's heart jolted fiercely. She awoke again, startled by a phone call. Perhaps Jiang Yinyan had been too focused on reprimanding her last night, or his phone wasn't set to vibrate, because the ringing woke Yunyan from a daze. Then she heard Jiang Yinyan answer the phone. She didn't know how long he talked, maybe a long time, maybe less than a minute, but in a blur, Yunyan heard Jiang Yinyan reply, "All right, I'll head back now." His voice was faint, devoid of emotion, yet it jolted Yunyan fully awake. She suddenly sat up. Jiang Yinyan had already ended the call and gotten out of bed. Seeing her sit up, he said, "You go back to sleep. I'm going to the old residence." Yunyan reacted instinctively. "Is it about GZ?" Jiang Yinyan grunted in affirmation. "Why do you need to go back for GZ's matter?" Yunyan was surprised. Jiang Yinyan seemed to be pondering something, but quickly raised his hand and rubbed her head. "Don't overthink things. Get some good rest at home." But before he could go wash up, Jiang Yinyan's phone rang again. He answered it. She couldn't hear what was being said on the other end, but judging by Jiang Yinyan's suddenly furrowed brow, the matter had exceeded his expectations. Then she heard him ask, "Why send her back to the old residence?" Yunyan listened from the bed, unsure who her referred to. But then she saw Jiang Yinyan's gaze fall on her face, and she shivered. Her? A few more words were exchanged on the phone, Jiang Yinyan's brow remaining furrowed. After a long moment, he said, "All right, I'll pick her up and we'll go together." Hanging up the phone, Jiang Yinyan directly told her, "The old residence means for you to go back as well." "Me?" Yunyan was stunned, then immediately realized that they didn't find out about me, did they? "They didn't say in detail on the phone," Jiang Yinyan said, "but I don't think so." At the Jiang family's old residence, red lanterns still hung high, but the previous lively atmosphere was gone. As soon as they stepped through the old residence's gate, a heavy solemnity could be felt. Even the servants seemed very tense. After Yunyan followed Jiang Yinyan into the old residence, she was told to go to the ancestral hall. Hearing this, Yunyan's heart pounded even more anxiously. She didn't know why, but a feeling of unease welled up inside her. Then she made a gesture she hadn't even thought of herself. She tugged on the sleeve of Jiang Yinyan's coat. It was truly subconscious. It was the unsettling atmosphere emanating from the old residence that made her do it. Jiang Yinyan looked down at her hand. Only then did Yunyan realize, and she quickly let go. The next second, he took her hand and squeezed it. When he looked up at her, his eyes were gentle. "Don't be afraid. It's nothing." Yunyan, startled, glanced around. Fortunately, no one was watching, and she quickly pulled her hand away from his. In the ancestral hall, old Madame Jiang sat upright. Jiang Yintai and Tang Hui sat on her left, Jiang Yinshi and Ding Jie on her right. Jiang Zhe was also there, not seated in a main position. GZ's chair was covered with a thick felt mat, accommodating her physical condition. After Jiang Yinyan and Yunyan entered, the servants in the ancestral hall exited one by one, except for the butler. Seeing all the servants leave, the butler smoothly closed the large doors of the ancestral hall. GZ was not in good spirits. Her eyes were very red, swollen like peaches from crying, but the exposed parts of her body showed no bruises, indicating there hadn't been a big fight. Seeing Jiang Yinyan arrive, her eyes reddened again, and tears streamed down her face. Jiang Yintai's expression was extremely grim. Tang Hui's eyes were also very red, staring at Jiang Yinyan as if he were an enemy, including Jiang Zhe. His eyes were practically spitting fire, glaring furiously at Jiang Yinyan, his face ashen. Even if Yinyan was slow to perceive, she could feel the unusual tension in the atmosphere here. Why did Jiang Yinyan seem like a public enemy? She instinctively looked at Jiang Yinshi. His face, however, was very calm. Ding Jie was as expressionless as ever, appearing like an outsider among everyone. Old Madame Jiang spoke, but to Yunyan. "Girl, I asked you to come to the old residence for another matter, so I had your uncle bring you back first. But you see the current situation. You are also family. If you wish to stay, I have no objection. If you don't want to get involved, I will have the butler take you back to the main hall first." Jiang Yinyan glanced at her. She understood the meaning of Jiang Yinyan's look. He wanted her to leave, to get out of there. He had made it clear before that she shouldn't get involved in this matter, and if anyone asked about GZ, she should plead complete ignorance. Yunyan understood very well and naturally wanted to protect herself by staying out of trouble. Yunyan didn't need to look up to feel Jiang Yinyan's gaze. It was undoubtedly displeased. She ignored it, her gaze fixed on old Mrs. Jiang. Old Mrs. Jiang nodded slightly at her words and gestured to the side. Please sit. They took their seats in turn. The atmosphere in the ancestral hall was tense. But the mere fact that this matter was being handled in the ancestral hall indicated its severe nature. Old Mrs. Jiang looked at Jiang Zhe and GZ, her voice authoritative as she spoke. Tell us what happened. No sooner had she finished speaking than GZ's tears began to fall, dripping down, presenting a picture of utter grievance. Yunyan, sitting opposite her, watched GZ with cold eyes, sneering inwardly. As expected of an actress, her crying was truly heart-wrenching. Wouldn't anyone unfamiliar with her act be fooled by such a performance? Jiang Zhe spoke first, his emotions indignant, his voice deeply cold. Grandma, I will not marry this woman. The child at her belly is not mine. From now on, I have absolutely no relation to this woman. A chill ran through Yunyan's heart. Indeed, the suspicion had fallen on the child. Just as the thought arose, she heard GZ sobbing. Jiang Zhe, how can you suspect the child in my belly? You saw the child's condition at the hospital. This child is yours. Jiang Zhe scoffed twice, then turned to glance at Jiang Yunyan. The child's real father is probably someone else. That glance confirmed it for Yunyan, indeed. It seemed GZ intended to slander Jiang Yunyan. What audacity! It appeared GZ and Jiang Yunxi's affair wasn't as simple as mere adultery. They truly were full of schemes. Jiang Yunyan's face remained placid, unmoved. Old Mrs. Jiang kept her composure, looking at GZ. You came into the Jiang family pregnant, only to cause such a disgraceful scene on New Year's Eve. Now it's impossible to hide. So tell me everything, truthfully and in detail. If you dare to conceal anything or fabricate a story, I will not let you off lightly. The old lady was very dignified. GZ's tears were like a reserve army, ready to be deployed at will. Her eyes were teary again. The child in my belly really is Jiang Zhe's. I love Aze. Jiang Zhe snorted. On New Year's Eve, I did do something I shouldn't have. I let Aze down, but I was forced. If I hadn't gone along with him that New Year's Eve, he would have harmed me and my child. I couldn't afford to offend him. Who was going to harm you? Jiang Yintai demanded, his brows furrowed. GZ looked nervously at Jiang Yinyan, her red lips trembling violently. It was Uncle. He forced me. I had no choice. Then she looked at old Mrs. Jiang. Grandma, since you want to get to the bottom of this today, please don't play favorites. I am a victim. Uncle has always been coercing and threatening me. He knew I was already pregnant with Aze's child, yet he still wouldn't let me go. Yunyan watched the scene, sighing inwardly. Jiang Yintai looked at Jiang Yinyan, his expression stiff and cold. Jiang Zhe's gaze towards Jiang Yinyan was even more direct, his eyes looking as if he wanted to kill him. Uncle, Jiang Zhe gritted his teeth. Is what she's saying true? Jiang Yinyan ignored Jiang Zhe's question, his gaze calmly resting on GZ's face. But despite its calmness, it sent shivers down one's spine. At least GZ, inadvertently meeting Jiang Yinyan's eyes, flinched, as if harshly scraped by an ice blade. Yunyan subtly took in the scene, inwardly scoffing. She doesn't even dare to make eye contact, yet she still dares to frame him? Jiang Yinyan spoke, his voice deep. You just said I threatened you, didn't you? GZ still didn't dare to look him directly in the eye, but her mouth was firm. Yes. Then I'm rather curious, what did I threaten you with? Or rather, what do you possess that is worth me threatening? Jiang Yinyan asked faintly. You? GZ's eyes were red. You've always been dissatisfied with the eldest branch, always wanting to seize their weakness to strike back. Your ambition for power could never be satisfied. Jiang Yinyan chuckled. So you mean I was using you to attack your future father-in-law? GZ, do you have that much leverage? GZ, Jiang Yintai's tone was cold. You keep claiming you're wronged, that you were forced, but words alone are no proof. Do you have any evidence? Yes, I don't have that much leverage, and you wouldn't believe me even if I pointed out Uncle, but I truly was coerced by him. The night before I entered the Jiang family, he forced me and threatened me with intimate photos, ordering me not to tell anyone. Later, he would extract information from me about the eldest branch. I don't know what Uncle intends to do. That New Year's Eve, Uncle called me to find him. I didn't want to go, but I didn't dare not to. He held those photos, I was scared. Jiang Yintai's face grew increasingly ashen, not to mention Jiang Zhe's expression. Tang, we couldn't hold back her anger. Third brother, for so many years, you've openly and secretly competed with your elder brother for profits and connections. We've all turned a blind eye, thinking we were family, not wanting our dirty laundry aired in public. But now, you've even set your sights on your nephew's fiancée. You've gone too far. Jiang Yinyan let out a sneer. Yinyan, sitting next to him, also heard the sneer and knew perfectly well why he was smiling like that. The Crown Prince of Beijing, the esteemed young Master Yan of the Jiang family. If he truly wanted to threaten someone, would he need to resort to force? When she heard GZ bring out the excuse of intimate photos, she smiled bitterly several times. This excuse was truly too clumsy. It also showed that GZ had clearly never experienced Jiang Yinyan's ruthlessness. Yunyan's breathing quickened slightly. An unbearable scene resurfaced in her mind. Yunyan, do I need to force you if I want you? Please be magnanimous. Young Master Yan, I'll do anything you ask. Please spare Azhou. Do I need to force you? No, young Master Yan doesn't need to force anyone. I'm asking you. I'm not interested in others. No, I don't need young Master Yan to force me either. Yunyan tightly pressed her lips together. GZ, you truly don't understand Jiang Yinyan at all. Asterisk waves of terror crashed in her heart as Jiang Yinyan's past methods of threatening her flashed through her mind, one after another. In this ancestral hall, before old Mrs. Jiang, the person who should truly denounce Jiang Yinyan's wickedness was her, not GZ, asterisk. Yinyan, it was right for you to stay. Perhaps you can watch a grand play, watching how this villain Jiang Yinyan gets his comeuppance. Then Jiang Yinyan spoke. A woman? What kind of trouble could I stir up by using her? He said it casually, neither annoyed nor angry. But his next words were much sharper. If I were to force a woman, I would have only one purpose: lust. So, do you truly think someone of this caliber could ever catch my eye? Those words were quite impolite. GZ was an actress, once praised and adored by all. No man had ever spoken to her like that. Naturally, she was both upset and furious, but it was inappropriate to burst out in front of everyone. So she started crying again, tears streaming down her face like pear blossoms after rain. Yunyan sat beside him, appearing outwardly composed, but a huge storm was raging in her heart. Lust? GZ decided to play the emotional card, sobbing. I know I can't defend myself. I know Uncle's position in the Jiang family, and I am insignificant and dare not offend him. If it weren't for the truth coming out this time, I wouldn't have had the courage to speak up. Grandma. She looked up at old Mrs. Jiang. I only ask that you allow me to give birth to this child. He's a child of the Jiang family, Aze's child. It doesn't matter if you don't acknowledge him. Please let this child live for the sake of it being alive. Once the child is born, everything will be clear. Old Mrs. Jiang said sternly. Regardless, the child is innocent. I will not allow anyone to harm a child's life. Thank you, Grandma. GZ said, tears of gratitude streaming down her face. It's true that the child is innocent, but if there's no evidence for certain things, it's not good to casually wrong others. Old lady, wouldn't you agree? Ding Jie, who had been silent, unexpectedly spoke, her voice clear and light. Yunyan was sitting next to Ding Jie, so she couldn't see her expression, but she was mentally assessing Ding Jie's stance. Old Mrs. Jiang understood Ding Jie's meaning and asked GZ, can you not produce evidence? If she couldn't produce evidence, relying only on GZ's empty accusations, then the matter would eventually fizzle out and become an unsolved mystery. This was actually what the old lady wanted to see, but GZ's consequences would be dire. So, could GZ be that foolish? To carelessly accuse Jiang Yinyan without any backup? Yunyan, as an outsider, saw more clearly and felt it wasn't that simple. GZ sobbed. Actually, that New Year's Eve, a servant in the house saw something. Yunyan's heart gave a jolt. A servant saw something? Old Mrs. Jiang pressed for the servant's name. GZ had been in the old residence for quite some time, so it was normal for her to know the servants. She named one person. Soon, that person was let in by the butler. Seeing a room full of people, the servant was a bit at a loss. Old Mrs. Jiang had always been generous to her servants, but today, with a stern face, she was quite intimidating. She asked, what did you see that New Year's Eve? Tell us everything, truthfully and in detail. The servant was terribly flustered and instinctively looked at GZ. GZ, with a catch in her voice, told the servant, just say what you saw. At this point, there's nothing left to hide. The servant stammered, trembling. That New Year's Eve, I saw. He paused, glancing at Jiang Yinyan. Say what you saw, don't stammer. Old Mrs. Jiang frowned. The servant quickly retracted his gaze and continued. I saw a third young master drag Miss GZ into the utility room. Really, I only saw that. I don't know anything else. He repeatedly swore. Miss GZ found me at the time and even gave me some money to keep quiet, to act as if I hadn't seen anything. GZ's face was once again tear-streaked. An uninformed observer would truly believe she was the biggest victim. Old Madame John's expression was quite grim. She asked the servant, did you see it with your own eyes? Clearly. The servant subconsciously glanced in Jiang Yinyan's direction, appearing very apprehensive, but still stammered. Why yes. Jiang Yinyan asked with interest. Did you see my face? This, the servant stammered. Old Madame Jiang frowned. Say exactly what you saw. The servant hastily replied. Although I didn't see third young master's face, I clearly saw third young master's back. We servants have been with the Jiang family for many years. We wouldn't mistake people. Upon hearing this, Yunyan felt a flicker of suspicion. The men of the Jiang family had always been well-built. Take the deceased old Master Jiang, for example. Even in advanced age, his back was straight and unbent, exuding elegance. Thus, all three sons of the Jiang family inherited excellent genes. Although Jiang Yinshi was older than Jiang Yinyan, their backs looked remarkably similar. Not to mention Jiang Yinshi, even Jiang Yintai could be mistaken for Jiang Yinshi or even Jiang Yinyan in dim light. Jiang Zhe's heart was in turmoil, so he had no reason in this matter. He questioned Jiang Yinyan, Uncle, were you or were you not in the utility room on New Year's Eve? No, Jiang Yinyan's attitude towards handling the matter remained indifferent. The servant saw you. Jiang Zhe almost growled. He only saw back. Jiang Yinyan was very calm. Jiang Zhe pointed at the servant. Forget about them recognizing us. Even if I recognize them, I can tell who is who just by looking at their backs. Do you think he could be mistaken? Jiang Yinyan looked at him, frowning slightly. Jiang Zhe, use your head. Jiang Zhe's eyes turned crimson with anger. Tang Hui interrogated. If it wasn't you, then who were you with on New Year's Eve? Who can prove it for you? Her tone was aggressive. He was with me. Suddenly, a gentle voice rose. Jiang Yinyan, who had been as calm as still water, suddenly changed his expression. He turned to look at the woman beside him, his eyes filled with astonishment. The others also looked at Yunyan, each one surprised. Yunyan steeled herself and met their gazes. Inside, she was extremely vexed. How could she have failed to hold back just then? Perhaps she truly couldn't stand it after seeing how aggressive this group was. What now? She couldn't possibly tell everyone that Jiang Yinyan had been in her room all night. Could she? Wouldn't that indirectly save GZ? Shifting the conflict from GZ's affair to her own improper conduct with the Jiang family's uncle, Jiang Zhe was stunned for a long time. When he spoke again, his tone carried a more evident blend of questioning and hurt. Yinyan, what did you just say? You. Old Madame Jiang looked at Yunyan. Yan, my dear. I can prove that Uncle didn't go to the utility room on New Year's Eve, because we were together, Yunyan said, steeling herself. She'd gone all in. The words were out. How could she take it back now? Tang Hui immediately reacted, pointing at Yunyan. Aha, you two. You two actually did something so disgraceful. No, we didn't. Yunyan felt guilty, but her voice was not soft. Didn't? If you didn't, then why were you two together? Tang Hui finally had something to latch onto. Yunyan clenched her fingers, then distinctly felt Jiang Yinyan watching her too, as if waiting for her answer. That doggo man. She couldn't help but step in to help him, and now he was just going to watch her get into trouble? We were discussing work. She thought of a reason that sounded flimsy even to herself. As expected, no one believed it. Tang Hui sneered. Discussing work? An uncle and his niece, staying in one room on New Year's Eve instead of sleeping, to discuss work? Do you even believe that yourself? Just as Yunyan was about to retort, the man beside her spoke calmly. Yes, she's my niece, but Yunyan is also my assistant. What's wrong with discussing work together? Discussing work in the middle of the night? Tang Hui scoffed, refusing to let it go. Jiang Yinyan ignored Tang Hui's sarcasm, turning to old Madame Jiang. It's the Nanzhou project. You know the project there is on a tight schedule. All project managers didn't rest during the new year. I'm the general manager for the project, and Yunyan is my special assistant. We have no reason to be enjoying ourselves while our subordinates are working desperately. On New Year's Eve, we were continuously in a video conference. I can disclose the relevant meeting times. He spoke unhurriedly, without any hint of trying to justify himself, as calm as if he were discussing a trivial matter. Old Madame Jiang nodded slightly. I've heard about the Nanzhou project. The schedule is indeed very tight. Eldest, you're aware of this too, aren't you? Jiang Yintai nodded. Yes, mother, I know about it. Therefore, Jiang Yinyan's gaze landed on Tang Hui, his eyes turning cold. Since we are all adults, we shouldn't casually accuse people without knowing the truth, sister-in-law. Wouldn't you agree? Tang Hui looked uncomfortable, muttering, a man and a woman alone in a room. How can people not be suspicious? Then sister-in-law wants to see the video conference evidence? I just worry you wouldn't understand it. You? Uncle, are you trying to clear your name now? What did you say back then? You said you absolutely wouldn't let me shoulder it alone if anything happened. How can you go back on your word? GZ had another hysterical outburst. Her voice was sharp, yet tinged with a sob. Her acting was simply superb. She managed to drag the conversation right back. Yunyan glanced at GZ, thinking she was truly incredible. She looked at old Madame Jiang. Grandma, may I ask the servant a question? Jizi cried as she glared at Yunyan. Though her eyes were tear-filled, they clearly held a wary gaze. Old Madame Jiang naturally had no objection. Go ahead. Yunyan looked at the servant. Don't be nervous. Just answer what I ask. It was false to say the servant wasn't nervous. He nodded repeatedly, nervously rubbing his hands together. You said you saw a third young master's back, but not his face, right? Yunyan asked. The servant nodded. After midnight, the old house became dark. How could you be sure the person you saw was a third young master? Just by back. Yunyan asked. The servant's mouth opened and closed. Tang Hui spoke up. He just said it himself. Servants who have worked long in the Jiang family can tell who is who just by looking at their backs. Is that so? Yunyan smiled, but directed her gaze at the servant. In dim light, what if the figures are similar? Can you still be so certain of who is who? The servant hesitated. How about this? Let me ask you in a different way. Yunyan said softly. You said Miss Ji gave you a sum of hush money, didn't you? The servant nodded. Why, yes. He then hastily explained. I didn't necessarily want to take the money, and of course I was quite scared, didn't know what to do. Don't be nervous, Yunyan said, always gently reassuring. Can you tell me what Miss Ji said when she gave you the money? Yunyan, what do you mean by this? Jizi stared at her indignantly. Why are you so anxious? Yunyan said unhurriedly. You've suffered such a great injustice and have come to Grandma, and you don't want Grandma to be biased, so this matter must be thoroughly investigated. Old Madame Jiang didn't allow Jizi to yell and scream. Yunyan continued asking. Seeing that the old madam had spoken, Jizi dared not say anything more. The servant nervously swallowed. Miss Ji just gave me some money and told me not to speak of it, saying that if the matter got out, it wouldn't be good for anyone. Her exact words? Yunyan asked, raising an eyebrow. The servant nodded. Just as Jizi was about to secretly breathe a sigh of relief, she heard the servant say, Oh, Miss Ji also said that third young master is old madam's most beloved son, and this matter would upset old madam. So she told me not to make a fuss, to forget what I saw. Jizi's expression instantly tensed. Yunyan looked at the servant and asked, So, Miss Ji specifically mentioned third young master, right? The servant nodded. Nonsense. You're talking nonsense. Jizi seemed quite agitated, pointing at Yunyan. You're deliberately leading the witness. If I don't lead the conversation, how can we know what you said to the servant then? And only by leading the conversation can everyone in this room understand that you're framing someone. Yunyan retorted, her tone chilling. She looked at old Madame Jiang. Grandma, I was in the old house on New Year's Eve, so I'm very clear about the situation inside. After midnight, the younger generation all returned to their rooms to keep watch, so the house was very dark, especially the main hall. Although the servant knows the family members well, it's very normal to mistake a back in such dim light. The reason the servant identified that back as uncle is precisely because of GZ's words, which confirmed his assumption. On that New Year's Eve, Uncle was with me after finishing his discussion with the elders. We were in a video conference the whole time. We have timestamp proof. Therefore, GZ is lying, and the man she was with in the utility room was not Uncle at all. Old Madame Jiang also understood this point, and her expression grew even colder. Jiang Yinyan, meanwhile, looked at Yunyan, an unreadable expression in his eyes. Ding Jia on the side sneered, Miss Ji, that's a very bold trick you're playing. GZ's tears came down even faster this time. Just as she was about to wail, she heard Jiang Zhe ask her indignantly, Who was it exactly? Tell me clearly. I didn't lie to you, I didn't. Are you still not going to tell the truth? Jiang Niantai barked coldly. GZ, you haven't even married into the Jiang family yet. Who gave you the audacity to frame someone? I doubt it was even a Jiang family member. There were quite a few men staying in the old house that night. GZ trembled. If you ask me, Miss Ji is a habitual liar. This child in her belly might not even be from the Jiang family. Elder brother and sister-in-law, you should think carefully, lest all your efforts come to nothing in the end, and you're caught in a honey trap without even realizing it, Ding Jie said unhurriedly. GZ was emotionally agitated. The child is Jiang Zhe's, it's his. How can we possibly believe you now, after all this? Tang Hui fumed. Get out of the Jiang family right now. GZ's tears dripped down, her hands clenched tightly. Ding Jie spoke up. Miss Ji, the Jiang family is not an unreasonable place. As long as you tell the truth, we won't mistreat you. This statement was like a giant rock violently thrown into an already turbulent lake, instantly stirring up even bigger waves. Jiang Niantai and Tang Hui looked on in disbelief. Old Mrs. Jiang was also stunned. Jiang Zixin was first shocked, then furious. What did you say? On the contrary, Ding Jie was very calm. Compared to her active participation just now, she was silent at this moment. Although Yunyan couldn't lean over to see Ding Jie's expression, a hint of doubt arose in her heart. Ding Jie's reaction seemed a bit strange. Jiang Yinyan's expression didn't need a second look. It was as impassive as ever. He was unhurried even when wrongly accused, and now he was even more nonchalant. Jiang Yinshi, who had been silent all along, finally spoke, clearly sneering. So, failing to frame the third brother, you've turned your attention to me? Miss G, you and I usually have no dealings. That New Year's Eve, when something happened to you, I went to the hospital to help out of consideration for my eldest brother's family. You don't appreciate it, and now you're trying to bite the hand that fed you. Second uncle, are you trying to disassociate yourself now? You were the one who said you'd find a way to protect me if something went wrong. But what happened? From New Year's Eve until now, have you protected me at all? Now don't blame me for exposing you. Since you want me to swallow the bitter fruit alone, I'll drag you down to hell with me. Jiang Yinshi sneered. I don't know what you're talking about, Miss G. Your malicious slander is too obvious, isn't it? Jiang Yintai looked at Jiang Yinshi, not speaking, but with a thoughtful look in his eyes. Even in the ancestral hall, even with all family members present, Jizi's remarks and actions brought great shame to the eldest branch, so Tang Hui was very embarrassed. Jizi, tell me clearly one by one. Jizi directly faced old Mrs. Jiang. Grandma, the fact that the servant saw that New Year's Eve was actually second uncle. The person who was with me in the utility room that night was second uncle. He told me to frame young uncle. I gave money to the servant and hinted that the person having an affair with me was young uncle. All these things were instigated by second uncle. Jiang Yinshi's face gradually darkened. Old Mrs. Jiang's brows furrowed tightly, clearly trying to suppress her emotions. I'm at fault. I couldn't control myself when second uncle actively approached me. Besides New Year's Eve, second uncle and I have been together many times before. Jizi's eyes were red, but this time she wasn't crying. Instead, her voice was quite cold and sharp. It should be said that every time second uncle came to the old house, we were together, and there were times in his car. The most recent time was the day before New Year's Eve, that is, the 29th. If you don't believe me, you can check his car's dash cam. That period is blank because he turned off the dash cam during that time. Jiang Yinshi's voice was cold. Jizi, your ability to weave lies is truly impressive. What do you want to do? First, the third brother, then me. I think you are the truly ill-intentioned one. Who instructed you to enter the Jiang family and sow discord? Jizi smiled, with tears, staring at Jiang Yinshi with resentment in her tone. Sure enough, as soon as something happens, you just want to get yourself out of it. Ding Jie. She then looked at Ding Jie. He hasn't touched you for a long time, has he? He said you were an ice mountain when he was making love with me, that you couldn't bring him any desire. Ding Jie said nothing. You say I'm ill-intentioned? Jiang Yinshi, who among us is ill-intentioned? You wanted to use my hand to attack the two Jiang family brothers, hoping to kill two birds with one stone. But what happened? Secretly, you never intended to protect me. You just pushed me out to be a scapegoat. Jizi then looked at old Mrs. Jiang. Grandma, everything I'm saying this time is true. Jiang Yinshi is jealous of his elder brother and wary of his younger brother. His intentions are sinister. Old Mrs. Jiang's lips were tightly pursed, and her face grew even more displeased. Jiang Yintai spoke. Jiang Yinshi asked you to frame the third brother. Why did you agree? What did he give you? Big brother. Jiang Yinshi was displeased. You actually believe what she says? This is simply too ridiculous. Throughout the entire process, old Mrs. Jiang was suppressing her anger, and Ding Jie's thoughts were unknown, so the calmest people throughout were Jiang Yinyan and Yunyan. Yunyan knew the truth, but these words could not come from her mouth. Indeed, a guilty conscience makes a coward. Previously, Jiang Yinshi had remained steady and silent, typically aloof as if it had nothing to do with him. Now that he was exposed, although his emotions didn't fluctuate greatly, he spoke more. Why did I agree? Jizi smiled bitterly, pointing at Jiang Zhe. Isn't it all because of him? Jiang Zhe glared at her resentfully. Because of me? Did I force you to have an affair? Is there any difference? Jizi cried out to Jiang Zhe. Since I entered the Jiang family, have you ever cherished me? Everyone in the Jiang family looked down on me, never treated me as one of their own. And you? You're the same. You never protected me, especially when I had conflicts with your mother. Where were you? You were always the one who ran away. Also, since I entered the Jiang family until now, have you ever touched me? You only have Yunyin in your heart, and you call out her name in your dreams. Since you like her so much, why did you act like a pervert and sleep with me in the first place? Shut up. Jiang Zhe's eyes were bloodshot, exasperated. Yunyin's heart skipped a beat, being randomly cued like that. Jiang Yinyan's originally calm expression subtly shifted a dark light flickering deep within his eyes, profound and chilling. What? Yun Yin is right in front of you, and you're too embarrassed to admit it? Why did I have an affair with your second uncle? You forced me to. I also need someone to cherish me and love me. Jiangze, have you ever given me these things? GZ went all out. You wouldn't even give me a proper status. Miss G, Ding Jia, who had been silent for a long time, spoke. Then do you think Jiang Yinchi would give you a proper status? Ding Jia, Jiang Yinchi shouted in a low voice. Ding Jia ignored him. GZ looked at Ding Jia. I never expected second uncle to give me any status. To put it bluntly, I know very well that my relationship with him is an illicit one. But so what? I just wanted to pursue that moment of pleasure. She then looked at Jiang Yinchi, but I never expected you to be so despicable, wanting to discard me after using me, showing no affection for our brief relationship. Jiang Yinchi coldly shouted, Nonsense! You say you had an affair with me. Do you have any evidence? GZ smiled grimly. Jiang Yinchi, do you really think I can't produce evidence, so you're acting so recklessly, right? Jiang Yinchi's expression froze. So you have evidence? Old Mrs. Jiang finally spoke. GZ took something out of her pocket. It was quite small, but it was clearly a recording device. She said, I was just afraid that I would become a sacrifice if things came to light someday. So I made full preparations. She pressed a button on the device, which had an external speaker function. Ah, gently, you're annoying. Gently? Can gently satisfy a little slut like you. But I'm pregnant. Exciting, isn't it? Having an affair with your husband's second uncle while your husband is asleep, with a big belly, Second uncle, you're so annoying. Did you miss me? Yes, I miss second uncle so much. With your husband there, you still miss me? Don't mention Jiangze. He hasn't touched me since I moved into the Jiang family. What a waste. Aren't I already second uncles? As long as second uncle comes back, doesn't second uncle always bully me? I can't help it. You're too alluring. Second uncle can't resist. Compared to second Annie? How could she be as captivating as you? She's like an ice mountain. The scene of the New Year's Eve affair was now authentically presented in audio form. Yun Yin felt as if she was there, knowing that these words had indeed been spoken that night. Of course, the recording pen contained even more obscene language, along with their passionate voices, making it difficult for Jiang Yinchi to deny it this time. Although this cannot be used as legal evidence, anyone can tell whose voices are in it. Jiang Yinchi, if you're unkind, don't blame me for being unjust. Jiang Yinchi's face turned icy cold with anger. Ding Jia calmly said, Jiang Yinchi, you're having an affair with a junior. Are you that desperate? Jiang Yinchi pointed at GZ. This slut is slandering me. I'm slandering you. Everyone has ears. GZ sneered, then said, Now, I have nothing else to say, but even if I leave the Jiang family, I still want to say that the child in my belly is indeed Jiangze's, believe it or not. Jiangze's eyes were like a beast's. He suddenly stood up and lunged at Jiang Yinchi. I'll kill you, you beast. The scene quickly spiraled out of control. Later, Yun Yin learned that if it hadn't been for the butler and Jiang Yintai pulling him back, Jiang Yinchi would have been strangled by Jiangze. Before the scene got out of hand, Jiang Yinyin had the butler take old Mrs. Jiang and Yun Yin away. Clearly, this solid evidence against Jiang Yinchi was a significant blow to old Mrs. Jiang. Although GZ had previously thrown dirt on Jiang Yinyin, the old lady ultimately didn't believe it. She never expected it to be Jiang Yinchi. Yun Yin took care of old Mrs. Jiang, while Jiang Yinyin returned to the ancestral hall to clean up the mess. After taking the old lady back to her bedroom with the butler, Yun Yin poured water and offered it to her. After a few sips of water, the old lady finally recovered slightly, her face still pale, and she was fuming. She kept cursing Jiang Yinchi as a wicked son and then asked Yun Yin, did the third brother know about GZ and the second brother's affair beforehand? Yun Yin's heart skipped a beat, but she looked up calmly, taking the teacup from the old lady's hand, and said, Such matters are inherently unspeakable. How could outsiders know? Old Mrs. Jiang gasped for breath, trying to suppress her anger. What a sin, truly a sin. Yun Yin raised her hand to gently pat old Mrs. Jiang's chest. Grandma, now that things have come to this, let's think of a way to deal with it. We can't let this matter escalate and spread. Although she said that, Yun Yin was still apprehensive. Old Mrs. Jiang, who could manage such a large family, was certainly not a simple-minded person. She must have seen the infighting among the three Jiang sons. Grandma Jiang took a long time to compose herself, but she wasn't feeling great considering the huge scandal that had just hit the family. After a long while, Grandma Jiang said, Speaking of your uncle, that child has had a hard life since he was little. She brought up Jiang Yinyin out of the blue. Yun Yin was slightly startled. Grandma Jiang sighed heavily and asked her, How much do you know about your uncle's situation? Yun Yin was a little bewildered, unsure of Grandma Jiang's true intention behind the question. She also wasn't clear how much the old lady knew about Jiang Yinyan working as a bodyguard for the Yu family, whether her knowledge was superficial or extensive. She didn't answer directly, but subtly deflected the question by asking back, "Grandma, what are you trying to say?" Grandma Jiang leaned back on the sofa and gestured for Yu Nian to sit closer. Yu Nian dutifully sat beside her. Grandma Jiang gently took her hand, but continued to talk about Jiang Yinyan. "Yinyan, this child, was kidnapped when he was very young. You know about this, right?" Yu Nian nodded. Children of wealthy families do not appear in public when they are very young, especially in old, established prominent families like the Jiang family. They are very strict about the public announcement and appearance of their children, generally ensuring they appear as little as possible before adulthood. Jiang Niantai, the eldest son of the Jiang family, was an exception. As the eldest son and grandson of the Jiang family, he received a lot of attention from a young age, making it difficult to keep him hidden. Other children were only announced to the public after they became adults. In contrast, the Yu family didn't have so many rules, but she thought that if her father could choose again, he would make the same choice as the Jiang family. After all, she had experienced something terrifying too early in her childhood. Otherwise, her father wouldn't have hired personal bodyguards, which could be considered a belated remedy. The Jiang family was actually quite strict in protecting their children. She wasn't clear about the situation at their high society gatherings in the capital, but at gatherings for the wealthy, the Jiang family's underage children hardly ever appeared. But even so, the youngest son of the Jiang family still met with misfortune. Back then, Grandma Jiang sighed. The Jiang family tried every possible method, but there was no news of our third son. The ransom was paid, but it was like a stone sinking into the sea. It was a full 4 years before our third son finally contacted the family. 4 years? Yunyan exclaimed in surprise. Yes, it should have been when he was almost 15. Yunyan pondered in her mind. Yin came to the Yu family when he was 15. He never spoke about his background, but according to Grandma Jiang, did that mean the Jiang family found him when he had been with the Yu family for almost a year? Wait a minute. Grandma, you said, Uncle contacted the Jiang family. Yunyan grasped the key point. Grandma Jiang nodded. That's right. Our third son actively contacted the family, but he didn't return to the Jiang family at that time. He only came back many years later. Yunyan felt unsettled, her mind a bit blank for a moment. That is to say, Jiang Yinyan had already gotten in touch with the Jiang family while working as a bodyguard for the Yu family. But after making contact, he didn't immediately return home. Why? Looking back now, some things made sense. During his years of the Yu family, Jiang Yinyan never revealed his identity, yet he was always coincidentally absent whenever the Yu family had gatherings with the Jiang family.